Right, let's go to the next one. They talk a little bit of the hotel, the profile of the hotel. I'm not going to stay here long, right? It's interesting. It's a budget hotel, 90% occupancy, right? 80%, right? And then they also mention what type of guest that you get, right? So overall, if you see 80 to 90% all hotels. So as you said, Vinisha, it seems like they're doing pretty well when it comes to, because it's a warm climate, maybe there's a lot of tourists, and there's a lot of movement happening as well, because there is a business district, so you get business hotels as well. Yeah.
All the four,
Right.
they equally in different location. Like there's business district, there's one in central, one in
Yes.
shopping, and active. So I think they actually have different.
Right.
Yeah, strategic locations, right? Very well chosen. Yeah. So then there is an article about them, right? Which is also, this is a way of the examiner giving extra information. Yeah. And then they talk about the structure, right? This gives you the opportunity to look at the corporate governance as well. Now, you can see the operation, finance, the marketing director. The 4 hotel managers come under Molly. Finance, you're the finance person, and you operate really reporting to the finance director, right? And they have got a little bit of information of each of these people. So what did you see as really important in their profiles? Something important.
They really don't have experience in the hotel industry as such. Yeah, other than probably Molly. But the others have just come with their they've been working somewhere and they've all come together to. Okay.
So,
Technically, it's just family-owned business, and they are the leading it.
sorry, I can't hear you.
Basically, it's a family-owned business, and they are leading it. But in terms of it's not.
So if I look at it, I mean the 4 hotels, they're doing pretty all right, okay? Then it's 90%, 80 to 90% occupancy, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So whatever that they were doing, they are doing quite well for now. But let's see
right.
how we are going to operate in the future. Another thing here, what you see is this guy Rav actually he's not a professional accountant, right?
Right.
This is a bit of a problem, because generally when you say a finance director, you're looking for a professional accountant, right? This will come with corporate governance, as what sort of people should be directors and leading the company. Yeah. So if you see for each hotel, how does it work? You have 2 deputy managers, housekeeping, restaurant, head chef, and head of maintenance. So 4 areas. Now, what can you say about these areas? What additional information can you read into it? Or how can you see that they would be able to improve in their current situation? What do you think? Remember, they are in a mature economy. And each of the hotels have this kind of structure. Any views? So, yeah, go on, Vinisha, did you want to say anything? Okay, I'm gonna come back to this, right? I'm gonna come back to this. I'll not give an answer right now. So, key responsibilities. Anything that jumped out for you in this?
Nothing out of the blue.
Right. Okay. What about you, Venetia?
No, nothing.
Right. So, in each of the 4 hotels, this is the type of work this guy does, right? The hotel manager. Okay.
Right.
So, and we go to the next one. The deputy manager does this type of work: guest bookings, reception services, etc., and the recruiting as well, right? Again, they talk about recruiting. Head of housekeeping, actually managing the operations, the day-to-day operations of the hotel, making sure that everything runs smoothly. And this is what the head of bar and restaurants that they do, right? Selecting the beverages, quality of services given, right? Then guest complaints and things like that. Now, the reason why they're giving you all this is to see what are the things that they can centralize. What are the things that they can outsource? Okay? So if I look at a hotel, imagine you're running a hotel. And the other thing, guys, when I need to tell you is when you're doing this exam, the case study exam, you need to basically live in it and pretend, when you go to the exam, it's as if you're there, you're in that hotel, in that particular company, and you need to immerse yourself in this scenario. Because if you treat it as an exam, and if you're not in that particular role and you have not immersed yourself in that role, you will fail, because you're not in that particular role. So it's a very, very important thing. Does it make sense to you what I said just now? Because it's very important, otherwise I will rephrase it. Anil?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. If you are answering it as Vinisha, or if you're answering it as Anil, who's gone to the exam, you will fail. Right? Because the examiner brings in different scenarios. You say, oh geez, what am I going to do here? I'm in this situation. What would I do? Right? So you need to be able to then quickly bring from memory what are the structures, what are the things that I can apply. Right? I want to tell you at this point in time an example, and the example is from me, where I failed the exam many a time in the finals and couldn't understand why. Okay? Until one of my lecturers looked at the answer and he said, well, you have not related the question into your answer. I said, what do you mean? Right? What he meant was, like, let's say they're talking about Molly is doing XYZ activity, and Molly is thinking of going into a social media project and using this kind of technology and blah blah blah, and I'm supposed to evaluate. So if I'm evaluating, I will talk purely on, okay, this is the project, these are the activities I'm going to be doing, or these are the risks, etc. But I never mention the word Molly, I will never mention the word of this particular hotel. No linkage. I'm giving 100% theoretical answer without linking the practical side of it, right? So every time I get the opportunity, I talk about it because I don't want anyone else to go through the same issue, right? So be careful. Don't just dump the theories and avoid, your actually what is happening in the business. Okay. Now, having said that, now can you see certain things where they could centralize here with the hotel manager? Anything else that they can make it more efficient?
The hiring of staff probably, and
Correct.
like managing staff.
Yeah, so the hiring. Yeah, yes, Anil.
And even like for the maintenance, the head of maintenance department
Yes.
must be shared.
So that is here, right?
Yes.
Down
No,
here.
the
Housekeeping, you mean?
housekeeping and maintenance as well.
Yeah. True. Because these are generally, when you go to a hotel, think of it, right? When you go to a hotel, where can you tell me one of the best hotels that you have been to, and why do you classify that as the best hotel? Why is it? What is the reason? Anil,
I've been to many hotels, but
you need to speak a bit loud, Anil.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
I've been to many hotels, but the only reason I would consider any hotel good is mainly depend on the service.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've been to hotels like where I've got good service and good interaction with the staff around.
Yes.
I would do it as a best hotel.
Right. What about you, Vinisha?
Service firstly, and also the location.
Right. Would you?
'Cause
Where would
I've
you?
primarily
Give an
been
example. Give me an example.
like I've primarily been like a leisure customer, so I usually like going by the beach, or having a pool, or all those activities that there
Right.
are.
Any particular name of a hotel that you
Yeah.
can say, yes, I like that hotel, and because of this reason?
A lot of hotels in Fujairah though, because it's by the beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we are spoiled for choice, isn't it? Actually, being in
Dubai.
yeah, the service is
That is true.
fantastic. It's not comparatively. It's not to hotels in Europe and the Western world. It's not expensive comparatively again, and the service
That's
is
right.
great. The food is great. All these
Yeah.
things are amazing. So when we go to any other country, we are like spoiled brats looking for all
True.
these things and saying, oh, why did I come here? This is so bad, and
Yeah.
complaining eternally, right?
That's true.
Now, it's the ambience, it's the people that make that difference. Yeah, it's the people. Now, I can very well outsource most of these things. Yeah, housekeeping.
Right.
Yes.
Right, this is where I'm saying where you guys need to read into this, more to it in many dimensions than just straightforward looking at something, right? If you get the art of reading it like that, then it's a biggest hurdle generally people have, not having the imagination to look through something and imagine stuff. Now, this is something they can quite easily outsource, and hotels do that, right? A lot of the hotels, what they do is the banqueting function, they outsource it, right? Now, CIMA, for example, has outsourced their all their management of the members, students, names, etc., writing, communications to the students, members, all that has been outsourced to a different company, right? So that way you're able to focus on your core business, which is, managing a great hotel, giving the experience to your customers, an experience which is unforgettable, right? Because this is the thing that the customers would want to come in. Yeah. And again, we see a head of bar and restaurant, right? And we see this is again selecting the beverage for the bar, right? And keeping inventory. Now, why should this guy be doing this I'm sure it's done, maybe it's very manual as well, right? Maybe it's a manual activity. Now, this they could automate quite easily, yeah? So, what do you guys think? Is it a possibility?
Yes, if they could predict demand, he could probably automate it.
Yeah. And then how would this work with the rest of the people? The rest of the hotels, I mean.
Like all of them will know that if they can predict demand, they can all work towards it themselves rather than just doing it, keeping inventory, for example.
Correct. Right.
Like the suppliers could give it on time. Yeah.
Yes, now we're talking about the just in time, right? You see how it's all
just in time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Coming together.
Connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening is you get 4 hotels, you get the bars and the restaurants. Why don't we do the purchasing centrally for whatever? Right? You have better purchasing, negotiating powers when you purchase for everything, right? If I'm going to the shop next door to buy my beverages and my vegetables and stuff like that, I'm gonna pay retail prices.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any other thing?
You have a power to negotiate. You can say like it gives you more power to negotiation.
Correct.
You have a sense.
Biopower.
Yeah. Right. Let's go to
You could even standardize the food and other things. Then.
Exactly. Right. Have you seen Gordon Ramsay's shows?
Yes.
It's quite hilarious, and he looks like a devil, but I mean, what he says makes sense, isn't it?
Right.
If you look, I mean, there was one restaurant that was serving so many varieties and lots of things, and he was saying, I mean, this is ridiculous. Why do you serve so many different things? Yeah, because that means you have to buy all that stuff, right? The variety of stuff you need to buy.
Right.
That complicates things. Right? So when you, like you mentioned, while if you're able to standardize, right, it's always good. Now, generally, the chef and the accountant does not get along, right? Why do you think?
Because the accountant will ask you to spend less and the chef wants variety.
Yes. I had a student of mine who was working, I can't remember, one of the 5-star hotels, and he was the financial controller. And he used to say, he nearly went into blows with the chef, right? Because the chef will go and buy the most expensive things as well. because
Right.
they don't understand the concept of, you need to budget, etc., etc. Now that could also come into your exam, right?
Mm.
Because this is a conflict, this is an ongoing, that's a normal thing where the chefs and the accountants, they do not see eye to eye. Because now this is where you need to have a very good system, not system, a very good understanding. You need to educate this guy on how to work with certain budgets, right?
Mhm.
Because otherwise this guy can go to town, buy all kinds of things, very expensive stuff, and then you're not going to make a profit. Now, how would you put a KPI against this guy for that type of work?
Mhm.
That's another question. We're saying, how can you link his performance and manage this kind of a issue that you have? The hotels here do use balance scorecard quite a bit, right? A lot of the big hotels, the 5-star hotels, use balance scorecard, right? So the finance measures will also be a KPI for the head chef, right? And how much he spends, how much profit he makes as well, right? That's important, because then you have to look at what is the selling price, what is the direct cost, the variable cost, right? To understand how much he's contributing. Yeah. Any questions there?
And no, no.
Because this is a very interesting area where you can get a lot of questions, right? Another way that you can manage is, like, for example, hotels, they throw a lot of food away. How can you manage that? Yeah. Is and price it differently is another angle to look at. So head of maintenance, so here again we can actually outsource the
Work this out.
maintenance. Yeah. So this part of it, if you're able to outsource, you will be again looking at efficiencies, right? And remember, these guys, the founder members, they were not hoteliers, right? They did not have experience, but they are doing pretty well from from the time they started. So now maybe it's time to change things as well, right? To change the way you're operating. Now we come, what does this part tell you?
This is the kind of customers they're getting. Is it business related or corporate or the normal guests?
Right.
The rich.
So when they give you something like this, what can you see into it? Does our hotel cater for this? The activities, etc., etc. Does it cater for it? You can see in Hotel 3, business is 20%, whereas leisure is 80%, right?
Yes.
And if we are kind of operating the same way, our operations are kind of the same way as Hotel 1, well, it may not be the best, right? We might be able to get to 95% if we maybe change, right, the
So I think the hotel,
strategy.
yeah, the Hotel 3 location for Hotel 3 is shopping,
Yeah,
theater district.
yeah.
Reason, yeah, corporate is less.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, they've actually managed to like link everything,
Yeah, yeah. Then they talk about corporate customers, right? And this actually is linked to your cash flow, working capital as well, right? Because now they're saying, the more business guests that you have, that's where you you have a corporate customer there, right? How you work with them is important. Yeah. And also looking at saying, if I say business in hotel 1 is 70%, that means I'm getting the money later than 30 days, 35 days later, right? Even though the sale was today, unlike my leisure customers, where I have leisure customers. Yeah. Any questions here? Now, what do you think about their website and booking system? Anil, any views here?
Website and booking, this it can be a centralized system. It's like basically uh, it reduces the time. It increases efficiency basically. You can book hotels from any point in time. That way I could see it.
Mm-hmm. Vinisha, anything else that you can read to this?
No, they could probably enhance it, and centralize it.
Okay. So, do you know Airbnb?
Yes.
Right. So they purely are operating. They don't have any. They have a lot of inventory. They don't own any hotels, right?
Right.
Yes.
Their income is based on the number of the popularity of the website and how the website needs to generate money, right? The more bookings, the more they make, right? Now these guys, each one has its own website. Now if the 4 of us have 4 different websites, right? It's pretty segregated, right? Now we need to link up with maybe like TripAdvisor or Agoda, like that, people like that. When people search, they search on a major site like that, like Agoda or something, right? Then if I'm linked to that, automatically I will get picked, okay, because I'm ABC company, nobody knows me. But if I'm listed in Agoda, right, it's like, oh yeah, customers are looking for the price, reviews, etc., location. Maybe I have all of them, but I'm not, because it's not out there, right? It's not ranked very high. My website is not ranked high. I can't get to my customer. Yeah. So that I see is a big issue for them, and this means a big opportunity for you as well. They might be thinking of revamping their whole website. Yeah. Anything that you can see on that?
And one more thing, they can even like centralize the website because they have 4 different, and that means there's maintenance costs for website 4 different.
Correct. Of course. You need to have it as one, so that and the thing is, let's say I go into one of their hotels, and then I'm going to another location where these guys also have another hotel, right? If I go to that website, the website automatically says, okay, these are the places where we have our hotels for repeat customers and etc. We will give a discount, and you can be included in a loyalty program and so on, right? So that has a lot of power than just having it separately. Yeah. And you can also see, say, corporate customers usually request booking via email. These are processed in the system as soon as possible. I can see a problem there, because if the email is not actioned properly, immediately you will lose that sale.
Yeah.
Okay, so ideally it would be where the customer is able to enter the information, it goes into a system automatically, right? The system actually checks, do you have availability, whatever it is, and then also, you know, you can put in your corporate discount. Yeah, so you give that responsibility over to the customer rather than you being a bottleneck, which in this case it is. Yeah.
Yes.
So accounting system, what do you see here?
They have the same accounting system. So in that case, I would say consolidation of data is easier, and same time they can check for the variance, and basically they can analyze between data, between the hotels. They can compare the data. I would say that, yeah.
Okay, what about Venetia? Anything? So why do they have separate accounting systems? That's same standard accounting package, right? So you're right. Sorry, Anil.
Again, this is the same thing. Like they're having 4 different systems. It's not one. That means 4 maintenance call. Everything will be there separate, and then there's another time for consolidation.
Correct.
That's what I can.
Yes, because they said there's no central accounting system, so you need to do your consolidation separately, right?
Yes.
Each hotel operates its own system and bank account. That again, all of those things, you can see a lot of improvements you can do, right? Now, having said that, what I can see is, so these guys started in 2005. They did very well. Then they suddenly went and then they saw this other hotel, right? And they bought it. And you see, they bought an operating hotel, right? Like that, they've bought all the hotels which are operating. What they did not do is to bring those hotels into the main hotel, the systems, etc., etc., right? They didn't consolidate it properly. They just run them as they bought, as individual hotels. Yeah, so they've not done any standardization. Now this is where I think that this particular company is ripe for a different set of people to come in and manage, right? More professional people who are used to working in a more professional environment, because as soon as they come in, they'll see these issues, right? Plenty of opportunities in this company. So what is your role, right? Processing all purchases, transactions, payments, right? Okay, so banking. Anything here that you can see?
Basically, he's having separate like purchase, transaction, sales, and like reconciliation of bank account. I think he's doing it, as in we're doing it for each hotel separately.
Yes.
If it's standardized, it's to do it all at once.
It's duplication of work.
Of work.
Yes.
It works.
Yeah.
It's duplication of work.
Yeah, so they could do things in a much more effective, efficient manner rather than what they're doing now. Yeah, so opportunities are there to improve the processes. completely improve your processes and change the way you're doing things in a manual as well as in a automated fashion. There's a lot of things that you can automate here. Okay, and then you got your financials. I'm not going to go through the financials now because Kumar will go through the financials with you, right? So only thing is these guys are making a profit. Revenues have increased quite a bit, right? So have they increased the profit in the line of the same as the revenues? Have you done those calculations?
No.
Right. So what I will ask you to do is do all the ratios whatever possible right now, so that when you're going for Kumar's class, you have those prepared. Okay.
Before we go ahead, these ratios, I was just thinking, because these ratios, they are possible like in throughout the case study.
Yeah.
So, like, is it, does it make sense to know these ratios now and use them in the exam?
Yeah. So what you will see is basically, look, you can, when you're giving examples and when you're writing certain things about the case, right, from the pre-scene, you're writing things, you're able to very easily analyze, right, give that justification because you have done your ratios before. So immediately, if I look at this and say, I'm just making a statement, right? You're saying, oh yeah, your working capital, you can say the working capital is very good, or you can say, well, the debtor's collection period is not good. All these things you can immediately make assumptions and then talk to it, rather than if you didn't do that stuff, then you'll have to go to your exam and waste time doing ratios, right?
Okay.
Because they may also give you the ratios there and ask you to interpret. Yeah. And here again you see, glaringly, retained earnings is quite high, right? So that means they're not kind of distributing it. Why? Yeah, is a question, right? So that's the reason why you need to do the ratios. Yeah. So
cash holding, or you can have ratios in each line item, like
yes, exactly.
I was just wondering, like, what if we do the ratios now? How can we use it, and how it will be given in the exam? Like, how we can actually use those things.
So like I said, you calculate the ratios as much as possible. The only thing is you will be able to interpret the case study much better when you do the ratios, right? Yeah. That's the main thing. Yeah. So 1 second. And what about the notes, the financial statements? What do you think of this?
It mentioned about the goodwill.
Yeah.
That's me.
What else? Anything else? So when they mention goodwill, have you checked the related accounting standards?
No, I have not checked that yet.
Do you know what it is? You remember anything?
I remember the goodwill, but I have not checked anything. I've read through it, but I've not checked in terms of how it's. I'm not gone through the proper financial goodwill value.
Yeah.
I've not done it.
Okay. What about you, Vinisha?
I haven't done any calculations either.
Right. Now, there are certain accounting principles, standards that you'll have to kind of go through quickly and see, understand a little bit more about it because it's applicable to our case study. Yeah. So again, we talk about the total budgeted profit. So here again, you have to do analysis quite a bit, right? And here they've given revenues, variable hotel operating costs, the contribution. Here, what can you do from this one? From this information, what can you derive?
You can see the percentage of cost, the increase, the salaries, the ratio, the salary increase, the marketing spend is same, and variable cost and the contribution to the hotel.
Mm-hmm. But you can look at the break even, right?
Yes.
Right? So this is where they're giving you some information and expecting you to do an analysis, right? So ratios, break even, right? These are things that you can use in this case, right? If you see the costs, right? The different costs, what is the proportion against your total, sales, right? What is the proportion? And you can see the central admin cost as well. So what is the proportion of that? Yeah.
Yes.
Then you look at again the budgeted revenue, yeah, for 2016, 2015, and different revenue from different sources, right? How they make up the total revenue. Have things gone up, and which hotel is doing more, right? Should we focus there in that particular area, right? Bar and restaurant, what's the area, what's the hotel that's doing really good? Okay, hotel 4 is doing pretty well in that, it seems like. Yeah. So again, numbers given for you to analyze and interpret and think of what can we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Now they're saying to increase the occupancy of hotel 4 from 70 to 80%, why not increase the room rates? To increase the guest usage and spend per head in the bars or restaurants for hotel 3 and 4, right? So they are recommending a reduction. What else can you do to increase sales? What else can you do to increase it?
Market hotels.
Sorry?
Market the hotels, like you probably through tourist companies, you get affiliated with them, because I think in the case they are not affiliated with any of the tourism companies.
Yeah, that's a good, have alliances, strategic partners as well, right? So you're a hotel, especially the city hotels, link up with some other attractions that's there, or any other hotel. If they see, well,
Right.
there is another, like for example this particular one, maybe there's a theme park, so link up with the theme park and then increase your sales, right? Certain hotels link up with airlines as well, so again you're able to increase, and being part of a loyalty program that's not there, right? Do they have the loyalty programs, which is very
Right.
powerful, right? Again, you could increase sales. So just decreasing in rates does not mean then it's a good strategy for you to increase the sales, right? You need to come up with strategies which will really give you sustainable increase, because if you reduce your your selling price, the competition also can do, right?
Right.
So you need to think of things where you would say, okay, I want to compete in the market, but not on price. What other things can you do? Any ideas? Any ideas? Let's say you're running a hotel, a boutique hotel in Dubai, right? How would you compete here?
Mainly marketing, I would say.
Okay, so marketing is the four to the seven P's, right? But
Yeah.
what aspect? You can't say do better marketing. That's not going to give you any marks. But what? How are you going to do it? What, like you guys said, I will go to a hotel that gives me great service.
Anju, can you repeat the question? Actually,
How
the
can you
connection was not.
how can you increase the sales, right,
Mhm.
without reducing your room rates?
Okay, you could affiliate, you could market the product, promotions, uh, probably even revamp your hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this case, I think the hotel number 4 especially, they haven't worked on it after they acquired it.
Yeah.
So if they want more customers, in the sense leisure customers, they could have a pool added as well, since they don't have pools or spas
Mm-hmm.
or yeah.
Right. So basically, what they will have to do is try to attract the customers and give something very different, right? A different
Right.
experience. Now, for
Add
example,
value basically.
yes. Now, the Disney resorts, right? They're not cheap. They're actually very expensive, right? And but the experience that they get is
Yeah.
amazing, because if you go to the Disneyland and in the
Right.
theme park, and even if you come back to the hotel, it gives you that magical experience, right? So they're not competing on price. They are at a different level. They're saying, okay, this is the experience we can give you, and it is, they're doing great sales, right? If you go to, like, even Burj Al Arab, right? If you try to get in a try to book a table, like either for dinner or that high tea, it's very difficult. Yeah, and it's not a cheap thing either. It's quite expensive, right? And if you try to book a room there, it is quite expensive, but they are very full, right? So people go there for much more than just staying in the hotel. And maybe if you're looking at now our first hotel, it's more business people, right? So what can we give the business people that will make them want to come there all the time, right? What is the thing that will, I mean, we were in a hotel in Rome about 3 weeks ago, and what was the name of it's a 5-star hotel, and the most annoying thing there for me was we couldn't get Wi-Fi in the room, right? You had to pay for the Wi-Fi, and to get Wi-Fi, if you don't want to pay for your Wi-Fi, then you go downstairs and you stay in the public areas and then use the Wi-Fi, right? Now that's not a great experience, is it? Right? So this is gonna tick off a lot of people when you say, I'm gonna charge you for Wi-Fi, right? And I mean, like I said, here this is given. We're so used to things here like that, and say, what are you talking about? It's like you're telling somebody, well, you need to pay a separate amount for the bed or for the linen. Yeah, it's as bad as that. So
Right.
It is. So things like that, you can make it. If you're a business traveler, what are you looking for? What do you want? Yeah. So you cater for all that, and that will actually eliminate you competing on price. And there's also something called the blue ocean strategy, which is exactly this. You do not compete on price. Yeah. So take a note of it. Blue ocean strategy. Have a read on the internet. It tells you a nice story. Yeah. And then more information